wondering is like.
All right, talking about blade tracking now. Now that we're all here. Now you guys got your crap together. So can a blade get out of track just by normal use? My initial thought was, well, not really, unless you push on it and stuff, because it's equal forces all the time, and it shouldn't. But yeah, talking to prop shops, like, yeah, these things just, they get out of track, they wear funny, they do all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's possible. One blade is always in the sun, one is not. I don't know. Gets hot. All right, so blade tracking is ensuring a delicious drink that Evan and I have all the time, that both, it's an old person joke, both blades, I included myself, track in the same plane. And should I say geometric plane?
Make sure they're both on the same aircraft.
Because there's somebody in here who will say, wait a minute, what do you mean by track on the same plane? It's like, so you have sometimes different planes with, so. Yeah, all right. So as I was explaining yesterday before we left, you have the blades, and you want to make sure that when they come around, that they hit the exact same spot back and forth. So you make a little pencil mark right there. And when the other one comes around, the other blade, it should be the same spot or very close to it. That's a funny looking thing. Let's see. Obviously, if the prop is bent, if prop or prop hub is bent, if prop or prop hub is bent, or prop is improperly installed, how could you improperly install a prop?
Torque in the wrong sequence.
Torque it in the wrong sequence. If it's a wood prop,
Got on the wrong index.
yeah, you're kind of setting funky on the index pins. Left a washer somewhere in there.
Put it on backwards.
Put it on backwards. Well, you know that when you start to take off. Blades will not touch the same spot. All right, max allowable. Out of track is 1/16. Some of y'all like to say, well, the max is 1/16. Well, how much did your blade out of track? 0.0165. Could you speak in the same language? These fractions and fractions. Just a favor. 1/16 for metal. Wood, you get to have twice as much. So that'll be 1/8 for wood. Why is that? Trees aren't straight. Yeah, I don't know. They're just little. They have some give in them. I don't know if I would do this, but tracking can be corrected
You correct a wooden prop track.
with shims. And shim it. I have some reservations about that.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some troubleshooting. What could you possibly troubleshoot with a propeller? With a fixed pitch, I should say. There's no moving parts. It just is the moving part. Vibration. So when you take a propeller off an airplane, there's a lot of props, fixed pitch and constant speed as well. That first of all, they should be statically balanced, which is not done on the airplane. It's done, I think I'll talk about that in a few minutes, but it's done off the airplane, so the prop should be balanced both vertically and horizontally. So when you have it overhauled, it's going to be balanced. Then you put it on the aircraft, and a lot of people will have the aircraft propeller and engine at that point dynamically balanced, which you guys will learn how to do next year or next semester maybe. So once the propeller is dynamically balanced, I don't know if you noticed they were out there doing it. They're running the airplanes kind of hard. There's a little computer that senses which blade is in which position, and then it'll tell you how many inches per second it vibrates, and they'll tell you how much weight to add on the spinner or the bulkhead or some position. So once that's done, then the propeller is dynamically balanced, just like you have your car tires balanced, right? It's the same thing. So, but then if you, as the AMP, come along and take off the propeller and set it down, and then you pick it up and put it on backwards, you've just messed up all of the balancing. So you always have to look for or index props when you take them off, so you put them back on the right way. So possibly if you have vibration, well, you can try rotating prop 180 degrees. Now let me be clear. You have to unbolt the propeller and then turn it without turning the engine and put it back on. So for those of you guys, like,
Nope, it didn't work.
Try it again.
Yeah, just give it another 180, it should work.
so rotating at 180 you might have put it on. What else would we possibly want to do? We got a vibration.
Weigh the blade, see if the weight is in balance.
Oh, do a static balance?
Yes, that's balance.
Yeah, I could do that.
Check if it's the right prop.
Check if it's the right. Yeah, all these are great ones. I'm assuming it was the right prop and stuff. I have check torque. Oh yeah.
Check the
Yeah.
mounting.
Check mounting, torque, check mounting. Sometimes wood props stored with one blade down could do that. So what would you do to fix that?
Store it for the same amount of time with the other blade down.
Actually, yes. Just put the heavy blade up, let it drain. You got to know when to stop it, though. But
Tell the pilot he's being silly, all planes vibrate. Or she can't screw
yeah, just some ideas right there. Let me see what I got here. 18 repairs. Take a look at my slides here. Talked about that. Oh, we're not into that yet. I feel like that's not the right. Thought I had some stuff about repairs. Did I take out all my repair stuff? I did. Stand by.
I'm not supposed to be with it.
I had a question about like painting props and stuff like that.
Yeah, ask away while I'm doing
Is
this.
it similar to wood props where it's like if it's just very minor out of balance, like paint blade more or something like that?
I don't think you would know. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you took it off, yeah, you could probably do that.
And then along with that, like you were talking about in manuals, they say at the end paint the blade.
Yeah.
So what if you don't polish it or paint it?
After a repair,
Yeah.
then you violated the.
So yeah, it says paint it.
Yeah.
Clear that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just clear coat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything
clear
else.
coat's
is
great.
equally.
Yeah, I was looking for this slide
It's
here.
rust preventative.
Thought I had some better ones.
It's kind of whack though.
What's that?
I think the clear coat's kind of whack. Looking. No. Think clear coat looks cool?
I think clear coat thinks you're whack.
That's fine. Never had a good relationship with clear coat. expected.
Yeah.
This guy master, so holy shit.
No, I thought I had some really good prop repair kind of pictures, but apparently I don't.
Fucking like
Shiny weight.
laminated paper.
Shiny.
Yeah, yeah, pretty laminated.
It's got matte paint everywhere. You don't like the clear coat on your car?
All right, so
I can take that off real fast.
I know somewhere I had a slide. It was really cool. I'm hoping it was a joke. It was like a piece of 032 bent over a prop and had like 2 screws in it or something. So, so make sure. So make sure you use your edge distance. Yeah, little. Okay, so the props are under a lot of stress, and all it takes is a little bit of a stress riser. Not to be condemning, but I've seen some of your edges on some of your aluminum stuff, and you guys aren't really into the whole dressing the edges. And that's going to come back and bite you because it really does. Aluminum cracks where you don't polish it on the edge. So you have to, when I do sheet metal repair, I like to be able to look at the edge of my sheet metal you can see a mirror. You should be able to see the light reflecting in off that. If it's dull, then you haven't done it yet. And just sitting there with sandpaper, that doesn't do it, right? That just file it, sand it, get the edges. You got to do the same thing with the prop. So you often dress the edges of the prop. I mean, you have to be careful how much you do this because there are limits to how thin the prop can get. And if you're constantly doing it, your prop's getting thinner and thinner. Before you know it, you need a new prop. But you can't leave it either because these little microscopic stress risers result in cracks. So you don't want to do that. So I try and take good care of my propeller, and I look for nicks and dings all the time, and I paint it probably way more than I should. And everybody, oh, you have a new prop. I'm like, no, I just take care of it. But it's starting to look a little more like that these days because I haven't done it in a while. So make sure you do proper repairs. Proper prop repairs. Prop repairs.
What's a good paint
Hartzell, they make propeller epoxy paint in spray cans. Tempo does. I think it's Tempo. So repairs. Let's see. Can you repair props?
No, not major.
Yeah, 14 CFR 65. What is part 65?
Mechanics.
Mechanics, you got it. Mechanics does not allow. Does not allow an A and P to perform any major alterations or repairs to props. Who can? Yep. Only at part 145 props prop repair station. So only them, so we can't. How do you know if something is a major alteration or repair?
It says it right there.
Does not.
What? Appendix A, part 69?
FAR
Oh, yeah.
43 Appendix A lists major alterations and repairs. So if you don't know, you're going to go to that. In short, outside of dressing a prop, taking out minor nicks, dents, scratches, and scrapes, you can't do anything. You got a big old, you're missing a piece of prop on the right side. Can you take it off the left side? Oh, I put only part 145 repair stations. I already wrote that. But if I don't put the C, they'll be like, what happened? If you read the manuals and stuff, one of the things they want you to do is to wash props with fresh water. After salt spray. If you get any salt on it, wash it. If you actually read how to take care of props, I really want you to just use a mild soap and water. That's all you should be doing. Get the bugs off. We'll put that. Wash with mild soap and water before inspection. How would you inspect a prop?
Magnifying glass, nice.
Yeah, I have a pair of jeweler's loops that I used on the last prop I looked at. It scared the hell out of me. It's like, damn. So yeah, when you use a 10 power magnifying glass or something bigger and you really get in there, it's scary what they look like on the surface. This one looked like, I mean, it was just insane. It looked like it had tunnels going down in it and stuff. You couldn't even see the end of things. It's like, wow.
Yeah, so how do you know when to call it quits on it? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you know when to say it's like, oh, that's okay, because
Only when you need a 5x magnifying
yeah.
I swear I was at one job, and you guys are going to learn to do wheel bearings and stuff like that and inspect. So when you inspect anything, you're always supposed to use a 10 power magnifying glass. So I'm right out of school, being the good mechanic that I am, and looking at wheel bearings, I got my magnifying glass, and the guy comes around, he's like, good. He said some stuff I won't repeat. If you got to use a magnifying glass to do it, it's fine. So there you go. If you have to use a magnifying glass to see it, good enough, right?
No. You can say that about our dressing our prop right now, Glenn?
I did. I used a magnifying glass. You
Same,
can
yeah.
see a lot, yeah. So you take a look at a magnifying glass, the 10 power, and it's got all these craters and dips and stuff, and it scares you. What do you do with it?
Dress it.
Send it.
How far can you dress it? That was really his question. How do you know when far enough is too far? Can I go a half inch into it?
Well, is
3/4
there
of an inch?
limitation?
There's limitations. Well, here's the problem. What if I've got this blade sitting here and I said, you cannot take off more than 1/8 of an inch of that leading edge? How do you know that I didn't take off 1/8 of an inch last week?
You had your measurements.
You got it on it? Yeah.
You'd have to have a prop manual and you'd have to inspect this whole thing and measure all of this to know how much you could take off. So, and if you don't have that, then you're not doing that.
Damage after dressing should be less than so many thousandths of an inch.
Well, no, my point is, if the prop is damaged and I take off 1/8 of an inch,
Right.
and then 2 weeks later you find damage and take off 1/8 of an inch, and then another week later you find it take off 1/8 of an inch, well, I'm allowed to take off 1/8 of an inch. We've all doing it. Before you know it, this prop's about that wide. And nobody knows it.
Weight efficiency.
Yes.
Nathan Vince from no reference point.
Why? Because number one, you have from no reference point. Nobody writes in the logbook. No, I shouldn't say that. Some people do. All right. I say mild soap and water. Inspect it. So my rule of thumb is when in doubt,
Send it to the prop.
Throw it out.
throw it. Yeah, no, send it to the prop shop.
And then they can throw it.
Yeah, if you especially if you don't know how. People worry about constant speed props, how many hours since it's got on it, hours since major overhaul, calendar time since overhaul. I mean, everybody watches these. You get a fixed pitch prop, it's like seems like every airplane I ever work on, and you go into logs and the fixed pitch prop, it's like page after, you just get to the beginning and you're like, okay, so they put this on when it was new and that was the last time anything's happened to it. So that's not a good thing. So minor surface damage. Minor surface damage. Minor surface damage. Well, if we have some minor surface damage, which, like I said, I get all the time on mine because there's little rocks where I keep my airplane, repair with a fine cut file. And double-aught sandpaper or crocus cloth. Like I said kind of a second ago, leading edges often need to be dressed. And that's where you basically take a file and you just draw a file down the whole blade. You just kind of take out all the little imperfections on there. G. No repairs are allowed. To the shank. Of an adjustable prop. Where's the shank?
Where are the patches?
Down there. The butt.
Kind of like a bolt. Yes.
Oops, that is not what I wanted to write.
Think about it. I think.
Transverse cracks. That is across the blade. Across the blade are usually cause for ejection. That's a quote. Usually
Usually?
Yeah.
cause for rejection.
Consider replacement.
Yeah. I say any crack in there in a blade is absolute, without a doubt, cause for rejection. If a prop shop wants to return it to service because they have data to do it, then okay. But I am not going to accept any cracks in a propeller. No way, no how. Prop bolt holes. Let's see. Because I think I have some Q&As on this one. May be repaired by bushing the holes. I don't think you can do this to a metal prop. I think this is strictly a wood prop thing. So you get a wood prop and the bolt holes are starting to get a little wallered out. Can you drill them out and stick a metal bushing in?
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Well, we can't.
Prop shop.
Yeah, so why don't they just come?
Well, because then the bushing would be loose in the prop, and then you'd have to bush the bushing.
Sounds like it sounds like to me like putting a helicoil in aluminum prior to even tapping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying,
It's
but
like just make the bushing bigger. I don't know.
costs more money. I don't know. It's a conspiracy, man.
Money, you know,
These are not my ideas. Or use 1/16 inch larger bolt. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so I said that, but then this statement, bolt, forgot about the hole repairs to wood props is not allowed. There you go. All right, that's all fine and well. All right, so I wrote down like what the textbook, wherever I found this. Let's talk about reality. Ain't no freaking way you're going to see me touching a prop for any reason whatsoever. Part of being an AMP, and this is what I'm seeing some people get in trouble for out in the field, and I think you're going to start to see some people in some serious trouble, is not knowing when you should say, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not comfortable with that. This is beyond my skill set. And when it comes to props, that is exactly where I am, hands off. I dress out I'm quick to dress out props, nicks, and damage, because that can lead to a prop failure. But anything other than that, no way. I don't want to get on some soapbox, but I don't want you guys to lose your license after you spent so hard working to get it. And it happened to me. As soon as you get your license and you walk out of here and you're holding it like this, and why are you holding your license like this? Because the ink is still wet. You can't put it in your pocket yet. There's somebody standing right there saying, hey, you're an A&P. Can you put my engine together? Can you put my wings on? Can you? And it's always going to be, and why do you think they're asking you?
Because no one else wants to
You
do
don't
it.
know better.
Because they're cheap. And they don't want to take it to a shop and pay the money. So shame on them. But for two things. One, for being cheap. Well, I guess I can't blame them for that. I want to save some money. But they don't understand the process and where your knowledge is at this point. So it's just imperative that when you leave here, and I hate that statement, license to learn, because you don't need a license to learn, because it's just dumb. I don't say that. People say that. You need a mentor, and you need to work with somebody who is really good at that point, who can train you in the right ways, not the wrong ways, because you're getting on the wrong person. They'll perpetuate that. So, but just be really careful, because that's happening far too often these days, and I think you're going to see that come to a halt. I think it's because so many people are buying planes right now, and then they're like, ooh, that's really expensive. So be careful.
How are
And
people buying planes in this economy?
money's easy to get. Well, not this economy, but a few years ago, money was just falling out of the government tree.
Yeah. I didn't get plane orders.
Again, so these are things that are in the textbook, in the advisory circulars. Some things are kind of, I don't know why I'm even writing it. If you shorten one blade, what do you do to the other?
Make it longer?
Shorten the other. If you have to shorten one blade, what should you do? Send it to the frickin' prop shop.
Yeah, you can't shorten it.
Answers I could have fit that.
What's that?
There's a lot of answers that would have worked in that question.
Yeah. This is you. Use caution when adding. This applies to us. When adding finish to a prop, to not cause what? Imbalance. That's going to be us, right? We're maintaining planes out in the field. We're sanding them. We're finishing them nicely. Be careful. Yeah.
When we were at Phil in sheet metal, when he was talking to us about helicopters, we were talking about the blades as well. He mentioned that I don't know if it was a black and white, but if you apply like black paint, you have to apply twice as much white paint because black paint's heavier. It might be like mixed backwards. Is it the same paint here?
So you're thinking you're going to paint one prop blade black and the other one white?
Well,
And so you're worried about the imbalance of paint?
I don't know how to word the question.
No, I got you.
How much like weight would it cause it to be imbalanced? Like if you painted one.
'Cause I remember Phil's like in lecture he said that like it was paint.
No. I think that's true. The colors are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's pigments and stuff. Some pigments have metallic in them, so yeah, paints weigh different amounts. But if you think about what a propeller looks like, is one blade one color and the other blade a different color? They're the same color, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about it. Or a blade is mostly black with white tips. You have the same size white on both sides, you're fine. Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, for your balancing, I'm sure we'll talk about it soon.
I doubt it.
Well, for painting, when you paint it.
You have way too much confidence in me.
I ask a lot of questions. You add too much paint to one side of the blade, could that reasonably balance it, offset the balance on it?
Yeah, that's my point.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're doing a repair and you got a rock chip in one blade, right? Because it usually happens to one, not the other. And so you kind of file it all out. Well, now you've removed material. Now you look at it and go, well, that's ugly. I just removed a bunch of stuff. So what am I going to do? I'm going to paint it. So you kind of sand that whole blade, mask it off, you paint the blade. Well, what about the other one? So I'm trying to do whatever do to this one, do to that one. Except for if you blend out a rock chip on this blade, don't go over here and just take a chunk of metal out. Hey, I'm bouncing it out. Yeah. Just tape a fishing weight on it somewhere. I don't know.
So then it says you have to paint it. There's like not like a rule. Like I can paint it whatever color I want. I can paint the blades different colors I want. Like.
The manual, I believe you can, but it tells you what kind of paint.
Okay.
So as long as you can get that color and that type. All right, polish scratches. We're going to polish out scratches. We're going to skip all that. That was crazy. So I know that was like repairs. Repairs, even though it's more like maintenance, but I'm going to put this one as maintenance. Before I move into this, we're not covering this. So at one point I got into this allowable aluminum repair blade per AC 4313, and it goes into great detail, but it's really about straightening out you have to figure out the radius of we don't do that. We just blend out damage. Let me see. So I'll just put this here, blending out damage. Blending out damage. All right, first of all, what publication should we use when blending out damage? The manufacturer's manual for that propeller. So if you have a sense niche, you need to use sense niche. What if the manual doesn't have anything about that? Then what do you do? 4313, or there's also AC
AC 20.
25, I believe is the publication I gave you.
Ours is AC 20.
Is AC 20?
The one on campus?
Yeah,
Yeah.
AC 20 dash, huh?
20-37.
20 dash, thank you. You doing okay back there? You need some Sudafed, man?
I know, right?
Yeah. I just tell his allergies are killing him, huh?
Chicken soup.
Yeah. I feel bad for the guy, man.
Earlier, so
Uh,
have some in my car.
If I can do something for you, let me know. It's like, yeah, quit talking to me. Anyway, yeah, so make sure you use the right publication. Now, in this class, I'm having you do it in accordance with the advisory circulars, mostly because I'm giving you blades. I don't know where they came from, and they're just laying around, and it's just a ubiquitous way of doing something to get you used to the procedure of doing it. And then once you know how to do it, then you can look at the manual and you'll understand the dimensions that they're asking you for. So if we're looking at these advisory circulars, I don't think I have that in front of me, but you guys have done it. You have the max, here's my blade. The max depth can only be 3/16.
Of the repair 3/16, I think.
Max, okay, so that means that,
It has to be less than that.
yeah.
Yeah. So it said if it was like 1/32, it can only be a 16-inch deep after the repair.
So, say it again. So the max, because I didn't bring it with me, the max depth of the repair can be 3/16, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's supposed to be, this is what I don't like, you're supposed to find the edge of the repair and go further than that, right?
Yeah. It said just pass.
Just past. So you can't have it 3/16 inches deep, so it should be 3/16 max depth. That's max. You don't have to go 3/16, right? Just a little tiny bit, just go a little tiny bit. But the max you can go is 3/16. And then I've got a prop with something like that. Can I just make a little, just use like a, well, you probably don't know, but a chainsaw sharpening file, just chainsaw sharpening file is about same size as a pencil. Can I just use a size of a file the size of a pencil and just go down?
It's got to be 10 times the length.
So the radius needs to be 10 times the thickness of the repair. So that's 3/16 times 10 from one side to the other. Now also you can't do like this 10 times. It's got 5 on each side, okay? So I thought I did that something.
I'm confused too because it said 10 times the length and 30 times the width, but it's like.
Now be careful, because some of the instructions that you're looking at are for damage right in the middle of the blade.
Yes. Yeah,
Don't confuse that with the edge.
The lightning strike shit.
Yeah.
So when you look at a box,
Repairable like
the-
that?
yeah,
How would you buff that up?
30 times. You make it 30 times bigger is what you would do.
Yeah, I want to say Hartzell. I wrote some notes here, just in like scratched in there. So Hartzell. These are my notes. An example of a depth of 1/8 inch. Then it had to be 1/8. 1/8 times 10 for the width. So again, that's what? A ratio of
10 to 1.
10 to 1. So it's a 10 to 1 ratio for that repair. But if it's in the middle of a blade, middle of blade, we'll go back up here, like, well, there you go, middle of the blade, there's my blade. So right there, we had there, it's got to be, same thing, it's 10 times for there. But right here, it's got to be the diameter times 20 for any damage right there. So you got to go out 20 times that and blend that in.
What I mean is, how do you blend it? Like what?
You blend a circle.
So what I like, I've done it, I've used those circular abrasive pads
Oh,
on
an angle grinder?
yeah, on an angle grinder. and mark out your 20D and then start working it. And then after you're done, then you have to NDT it, then you have to use Allodyne, then you have to paint it. So. Huh?
Does that leave the blade looking kind of long?
Mm-hmm. Because using black paint, you can really see it.
Yeah. Paint it white.
Just fill it in with more paint.
Little Bondo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't get how you, if you take out a ton of shit, a ton of material like that, then you definitely have to add material. So how do they add it? There's weights that strap onto it. Actually, I feel like I never see weights on there.
All right. So with like aluminum fixed pitch propellers,
Yeah.
sometimes on the hub you'll see 2 screw holes on the hub. That doesn't help you out here, right? So when you start getting outboard, you can't. I don't know what you got to take off material off the other side. Or yeah, you just collect everything you ground off and you mix it in some JB weld and stick it on there. I don't know. Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is kind of like get into the black arts here that I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. Repairs, where was I here? We were doing maintenance. Maintenance is kind of where I was going. All right, so everybody's kind of, are you kind of cool with, because really we're going to cover more of this blending stuff. It's a project across the street, but I really just told you what to do. You're going to look up the information I just told you. You're going to, now you know that, you know a couple of things. One, there's a ratio, because everybody so far, I'm like, what's the ratio? I'm like, ratio? Like, uh-oh, you repeated what I said. I know we're in trouble. So you know there's got to be a ratio, and what's that ratio?
10 to 1.
10 to 1. What's the deepest it can be? 3/16. Is this manufacturer or advisory circular stuff?
That's advisory.
Advisory circular, right? So we're going to stick with, so you have to remember, it's just an advisory circular. You're supposed to use the manual. What else? When you're done, what are you supposed to do?
And balance it. And you
Well,
teach it.
inspect with,
A magnifying glass. So I need a lot of
a 10 power magnifying glass, right?
That's easy for me.
Borrow Cooper's glasses.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what they're doing. And then you're going to polish it out with sandpaper. So sandpaper is your final thing. Sometimes I see people treat sandpaper like it's the beginning, and you sit there for an hour, right? Use a lightweight file. Use jeweler's files to do this work, and get as much as you can out with the jeweler's files. Then use your sandpaper, and then inspect it. And in this class, I'm going to hold you accountable to everything within this 10x area, because there might be another thing right here that somebody else did, but you're responsible for that area. I'm going to look at all that area. I'm going to look how you did on that. Okay. So other maintenance. Oh, we're talking about maintenance here. Let me see. Yeah, check. This is if you're doing an inspection. Check maintenance. Records. Output NTCDS. I wrote a lot here. For correct prop. You get the wrong prop a lot. For correct prop. Modification of the tachometer. Sometimes people put in the wrong tachometer, or they change out the tachometer and their markings on it are incorrect. So it's all part of engine speed and monitor. You want to make sure you have all that set. What did I write? Check aircraft records for replacement or modification of the tachometer, changes the propeller model, engine model, or installation changes. So the whole thing firewall forward. That's how people lose their license. They're not paying attention and somebody put it in the wrong engine. It's like, oh, look, it's an 0320, E2B came out of it, but, an E2F, it's got to be close enough, and most of the letters are on there, and you get in trouble. Yeah.
What if, I don't know, what if you had like glass cockpit? Like when you set that up, you just put in those parameters? And
Yeah, when you order digital instrumentation, or like my plane, you have to tell them your N number, serial number. You have to give them the parameters. They're going to send it back to you. You have to cross-check the parameters. I think I even had to send a page out of my pilot operating handbook, which they already have, and they know, but they're just, this is double check. And then when it comes, it already has the red line and the green arc and everything already on it. Some of that depends on if you've replaced your instruments with glass as primary, or if you bought glass as a secondary. I don't know if you guys know the difference, but so when you order like an engine analyzer that has manifold pressure, tachometer, oil pressure, oil temp, blah, 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 you can order it two different ways. You can order one, it's a lot cheaper as an advisory. You have to keep all of your other instruments, and you can add this one. Or you can buy a primary, which allows you to take out the instruments and install one. So there's different ways of doing that.
What if you put a glass, whatever's glass box in and you change something, you change the engine?
Then you would have to have it reprogrammed. You'd have to send them the STC and everything.
Does it send you a software update or something like that?
No, I think you have to send it in. No, they have a little USB port, which I think you'd work with them to change it. Yeah.
It's a secondary, you're keeping your original instruments, but you need an STC.
That's a good question. I would say yes, because you're permanently installing something, and that's a modification, and it's not part of the type design, original type certificate, so I would say yes.
Always err on the side of safety.
Always. It's always easier to argue why you did a little too much than it is to argue why you didn't do enough with the FAA.
Okay.
Worst thing they could do is go, you know, you didn't need to do this.
Sure.
And then you'd say, yeah, I kind of felt that way, but I thought I'd better be safe than sorry. You know, I want to.
And they bust out the scotch.
Yeah. Okay, so it's really critical that you check all of these things. Let me see. This is one that's surprising. Maybe not to you guys. Verify proper RPM restrictions. Restrictions are marked. Your red line, your green line, whatever lines you have, make sure they're marked. Where would I go to find that?
Oh, the POH?
Pilot Operating Handbook. For FAR certified aircraft, it's in the POH. When you go back to car days, not like driving a car, but civil air regulations, which is pre-FAA, like your airplane is under Car 3 registration, not FAA, then your notes and placards are in the notes on the type certificate data sheet. And you don't have a POH. You haven't, they call it something else, but yeah.
What years of aircraft are those cars?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and right now I can't remember. 69? I don't remember. Knew that was going to happen eventually. I was waking up.
I almost had to come over. Is that why you leave before it?
Almost got your college.
That's why I
Almost got
kicked
your college
it. I
paper
kicked
right
it over
there.
here. You didn't realize. I signed the waiver.
Check accuracy of TAC. TAC with an H. It's surprising how often these things are bad. They're mechanical. So off the back of the engine, you have a cable that spins. You guys remember, you built an engine, there's a tack drive in the back, so you screw this thing on, there's a cable that spins in a housing that goes to a tachometer, that it spins a tachometer, and it's got like this thing that spins, it's got a magnet that it kind of pulls so far with it, so the faster it spins, the more it pulls the magnet that's got the needle. Well, those things, you know, if you think about the average plane these days, built in the 60s or 70s, yours is built in the 40s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the original tacks. And so, you know, something built in, like my plane, 77, which to me doesn't sound like it was that long ago, that's 46 years old. So these things go bad. They're not that accurate, and they don't have to be calibrated. So it's not like somebody's saying, oh, you got to calibrate your tack every year. So you as the mechanic don't always assume that they're bad. So you get a handheld tack checker. They're about $250. Well, and you calibrate them off of the flickering fluorescent lights, which I don't think they work off LEDs, which will be a problem someday, but not for now. And so,
Are you serious about that?
yeah, do the handheld tack checkers work off LEDs?
I don't know. I've never used it. I don't even know what I was thinking you would get like a DMM and put it on the P leads.
Well, that would make sense. That's where my airplane is. So newer airplanes, or ones that have the glass cockpit, you don't have that spinny cable anymore. Like our test stand, but it broke. You actually take pulses off the P lead. So it's counting a pulse. So it's very, very accurate. You don't have to worry about those. But the ones with the little cable that's spinny, which a lot of planes have, they're really inaccurate. So you use a handheld tack checker, which just measures the light pulses through a propeller.
Oh,
And-
you do it too? Oh, I thought you were talking to.
And to calibrate, okay.
That's really
So to calibrate these handheld tack checkers, you hold them up to a fluorescent light because these are flickering. We just can't see
60
it.
hertz or whatever,
Yeah.
they can, like,
So
do
what
that.
is it? I have 360. Is it? What does it say? Anyway, I have to think about that one. But it just tells you you hold it up to that. So
You don't, yeah, you say, I think what Evan was asking is you don't use anything that clamps onto like the P lead or ignition
No.
cables.
it's hard to do because you got to get the cable to come out and around, and the wind's blowing, and so it's just easier to hold that. When I went to, I'll go get ours. Well, it's break time now. But when I went to, I don't know, I think it was before I got my glass cockpit when I went to Boston, because I knew my tack was off a little bit, and I'm over the angle. I used a handheld tack checker the whole way. You know, so it's not like I couldn't go, well, I know that reads 25 low, but I don't know. So I did it the whole way, just to be stupid, I guess, which I was.